Some people believe that because someone is young, their actions should be overlooked. But age does not erase responsibility. Even if a child commits a crime, the energy of that action remains. The consequences are real, and punishment follows accordingly. Yet we often start passing judgments in our minds, assuming that someone like Ahaz, who is in trouble, won't escape justice. We begin calculating their outcomes, but we must remember, it is not up to us to judge. There are people facing bigger challenges than our own. A common man struggles just to put food on the table, and while we are lost in our troubles, hoping for freedom, we tend to look at others' struggles and think, they must have deserved it. It's their fate. But what we fail to realize is that the judgments we make about others reflect who we truly are. We see people happy, we see people in trouble, and sometimes there's a hidden satisfaction within us, as if their suffering brings us something. It's as though our ego wears a cloak of superiority when we see others in pain. There's a strange joy in watching someone else's hardship. It's a twisted kind of fun. My dear friends, we often say, this is karma. They must have done something wrong and now they are facing the consequences. It's God's punishment. But let me tell you something. I have never associated love with punishment in my life. I am not someone who revels in hardships, whether mine or others. Difficulties come, but God also provides relief. It's common to think that when trouble strikes someone else, they deserve it. But when it comes to ourselves, we seek mercy and hope for relief. Many watching this video may think, that person's in trouble, so they must have done something wrong. But that's not the reality. Difficult times come to everyone. It's a part of life, but it's also a time for reflection and growth. What are you thinking right now? That a mistake was made and judgment has already been passed? But who are we to judge? Only God knows the full story behind someone's actions. He alone can account for them. Yet, we jump to conclusions, believing we know who will face consequences and who won't. Life is like a bus station. Some face accidents or harm, while others escape unscathed. Sometimes we believe that those around us suffer because of their actions, but that's not always the case. These thoughts are driven by fear and misunderstanding. We tend to judge quickly, thinking someone deserved their fate without knowing their full story. When challenges come our way, we often think, this is a test of my capability and I will be rewarded for enduring it. But when others are in trouble, we assume they must have done something wrong. They're being punished. This flawed way of thinking is rooted in ego. Everyone faces pain, sorrow, and trouble, even the wealthiest and most powerful among us. How you react when you see someone in trouble reflects your soul. It reveals your true face. I've realized that the world has far greater problems than the ones we face, yet we often view our own issues as the largest. In that moment, my respect for a friend grew, as I saw him handle his challenges with grace while raising his children. Raising a child is a challenge in itself, but when that child has special needs, it becomes an even bigger responsibility. Despite his struggles, my friend remained strong and committed to his family. This is a lesson for all of us. We never know the full extent of someone's challenges. Life is complex, and the reasons people face difficulties are often far deeper than we realize. Earlier, I mentioned judgment, and I want to expand on that. In German, there's a word for the feeling of happiness that arises from seeing others in pain. Schadenfreude. It describes a kind of weakness, an insecurity within us. When you see someone struggle, you may feel a sense of joy, telling yourself they're getting what they deserve. This internal justification is a way to ease our own discomfort. But let me tell you, this isn't a healthy mindset. Many people, whether they admit it or not, derive some pleasure from witnessing others' struggles. It's a false sense of satisfaction, like we're being emotionally fed by their downfall. But this kind of thinking is dangerous, especially when it affects how we view celebrities, heroes, or even those who have contributed greatly to society. Their personal tragedies often become entertainment for others. Our prophet, peace be upon him, taught us never to rejoice at someone's misfortune. He said, "Do not express happiness over someone's trouble, because it is possible that God may relieve them and test you instead." This reminds me of the law of attraction. If you smile at someone else's trouble, you are unknowingly attracting that same trouble toward yourself. You're inviting that problem to knock on your own door. I've seen this happen many times. A person mocks another's challenges, and soon enough, they face the same difficulty. Believe me, God knows best. It's not for us to judge others or measure their troubles against our own. What you present to the world may be gold-plated, but who you really are is reflected in your thoughts and actions when no one is watching. So when no one sees, think good thoughts, do good deeds, and pray for the well-being of others. Wish good for everyone, and may God protect us all from loneliness and hardship. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you take this message to heart. Remember, when you feel joy at someone else's pain, it's more than just an attitude or words. It's something that could come back to you. May God guide us all. Let's practice patience and kindness, both in our hearts and our actions.